Welcome back to We on Wild is One, and thank you for staying with us. Time now for Pulse. I'm Eric Njoka. Let's begin this broadcast with the headlines. President Trump tells Russia to resolve its Ukraine war within 50 days or face massive new economic sanctions as he laid out plans for new infusions of weaponry for Kyiv. Israeli military says it carried out a strike against several tanks near the Syrian village of Sami in the Suwaida area of southern Syria. It's the same area where deadly clashes took place between Bedouin tribes and Druze fighters in recent days. India and China must resolve friction along their border, pull back troops and avoid restrictive trade measures to normalize their relationship, India's foreign minister tells his Chinese counterpart in Beijing. India's civil aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, orders airlines to inspect the fuel switch locking mechanisms on their Boeing 787 fleet. At least 89 people killed in the southern Syrian province of Suwaida, a monitor says, as clashes between Sunni Bedouin tribes and Druze fighters rage on for a second day.
We have one country that has 17 Patriots getting ready to be shipped. They're not going to need them for them. So we're going to work a deal where the 17 will go, or a big portion of the 17 will go to the war side.
A fast-moving wildfire in Arizona has destroyed the iconic Grand Canyon Lodge, along with dozens of other structures at the North Rim. The flames force officials to shut down the area for the rest of the season. The lodge had been the only place for lodging inside the park's North Rim. Now all that remains is its charred footprint. The fire also destroyed a gas station, a wastewater treatment plant, an administrative center, and several historic cabins. The so-called Dragon Bravo fire has burned roughly 5,000 acres. It's one of two wildfires currently threatening the area. The other, the White Sage fire, has already burned more than 40,000 acres. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs is demanding an investigation, criticizing federal officials for initially managing the Dragon Bravo fire as a controlled burn during what she calls the driest, hottest part of the Arizona summer. Officials say the fire started on July 4th from a lightning strike, but shifted to a full attack. A week later, as high heat, dry brush, and strong winds caused the fire to explode to nearly 8 square miles. Those conditions are expected to persist through midweek. No injuries have been reported in either fires. Grand Canyon National Park attracts millions of visitors each year, but the North Rim, which is open seasonally, sees far fewer visitors than the South Rim. The entire area has been evacuated, including firefighters, after chlorine gas was released from the damaged treatment plant, posing a toxic...
As the artificial intelligence race heats up, Beijing-based startup Moonshot AI has launched a new open-source AI model called Kimi K2. The new AI model is capable of handling complex tasks, integrating tools, and performing advanced coding operations, all at a more competitive price than its rivals. Moonshot AI claims that its open-source AI offering outperforms mainstream open-source models in some areas. In a post on X, Moonshot said that its Kimi K2 model beat Claude Opus 4 on 2 benchmarks and had better overall performance than OpenAI's GPT-4.1 model. Kimi K2's release underscores an emerging trend among Chinese tech firms, open sourcing models to expand developer engagement, drive innovation, and boost international reach. Tencent, Alibaba, and Baidu are key examples of other Chinese companies pursuing this open source strategy. Some American companies like Meta have also released open source models. However, many other US tech giants like OpenAI and Google continue to keep their most advanced AI models proprietary. The Chinese startup Moonshot AI was founded in 2023 in Tsinghua. University graduate Yang Dilin, another breakout year in 2024 thanks to its Kimi app's long text analyses and AI search tools, but it lost ground recently, dropping from 3rd to 7th place in user rankings, according to a Chinese website that tracks AI products. The fall has been attributed to rising competition, especially from DeepSeek's low-cost R1 model, which shook up the market earlier this year. Now, with Kimi K2, Moonshot is looking to re-establish its place in China's competitive AI market. President Trump's tariff war on some of America's oldest allies is showing no signs of slowing down. European Union is the latest to be slammed with retaliatory tariffs to the tune of 30%. European trade ministers are currently meeting in Brussels to plan their next move. For all member states of the bloc, while EU seeks to negotiate with Donald Trump, there's an overwhelming sentiment within the member states to hit back with countermeasures if talks fail. However, the latter will come at a cost.
As you know, the European Union has approached these talks in a good faith and with full intensity throughout. So let's be honest, an idea of 30% tariff rate is effectively prohibitive to the mutual trade. We remain convinced that our transatlantic relationship deserved a negotiated solution, one that builds the basis for renewed stability and cooperation.
Pushed to seek other avenues and diversify, the European Union is threatening economic ties with Asian and South American nations.
So the European Union is talking to us. They want to open up their country. I would say Japan to a much lesser extent in terms of opening up their country. South Korea wants to make a deal other than tariffs. Right now, as you know, they're paying a substantial tariff, but they want to...
The European Union is hitting pause on its response to Trump's tariff threats after a new letter from the president warned of 30% tariffs on EU goods. In that letter, Trump said unless a deal is reached, the U.S. will impose higher tariffs starting on August 1st. On Sunday, EU President Ursula von der Leyen announced the bloc would suspend its planned countermeasures, which were set to take effect today to allow more time for negotiations.
We have always been very clear that we prefer a negotiated solution. This remains the case, and we will use the time that we have now till the 1st of August. And on the second track, since the very beginning, we have worked and now are ready to respond with countermeasures. We've prepared for this, and we can respond with countermeasures if necessary. So this two-track approach pays off because we are prepared.
Trump posted the same letter to Mexico's president, warning that if either the EU or Mexico retaliates with higher tariffs, quote, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added on to the 30% that we charge.
And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it, and they're going to be paying for it. They have a lot of money, and they want to do it. They feel very strongly about it, and we feel strongly about it, too. But we're in for a lot of money, and we don't want to do it anymore, and we can't. But we make the best, and we're going to be sending the best to NATO.
No, Mr. President, dear Donald, this is really big. This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you had taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine what it needs to have to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you do want Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit. But it will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense, but also missiles, ammunition, etc., etc. So if I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you were planning to do in 50 days and this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment, if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for them.
Always, sir. How are you, sir? It's good to see you.
Thank you, General, for participation the first time.
Next to me was supposed to be.
We had very good conversation with General just now, and thank you, General, for coming. And thanks. We have often meetings with you and your team. Thanks to your team also for coming to Kiev. Thank you so much. We are thankful to President Trump for his all messages and very strong decisions about resuming delivers for us, and we are thankful for bipartisan support. And of course, we had very good conversations in Hague, and we had with President, and we had very good phone conversation. We made some decisions very positive for both countries, and just now we spoke about air defense with General.
And one of the reasons that you're here today is to hear that we are very unhappy, I am, with Russia. But we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. But today we're going to talk about something else. And as you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine, and would like to see it end. It wasn't my war, it was Biden's war. It's not my war, I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
How did you tell Putin this was coming?
I speak to him a lot about getting this thing done. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles are launched into Kiev or some other city. And I said, it's strange. And after that happens 3 or 4 times, you say, the talk doesn't mean anything. My conversations with him are always very pleasant. I say, isn't that a very lovely conversation? And then the missiles go off that night. I go home, I tell the First Lady, I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me. But what I do say is that at a certain point, ultimately talk doesn't talk. It's got to be action. It's got to be results. And I hope he does it. I mean, look, I hope he's going to do it. He knows the deal. He knows what a fair deal is. If there is such a thing as a fair deal, there's no winners here. This is a loser. This is a loser.